Liner shipping. We all know liner shipping plays an important role in the global market of the sea transport industry. Liner shipping is mainly a high-value or low-volume transport, and it is estimated that liner ships carry about 20% of the world trade volume and between 70 to 80% of the value of goods transported by sea. In this lesson, we will study liner shipping and essential features of liner services, then discuss the break bulk, unit loads, intermodalism, and containerization and marketing of liner shipping. After going through this presentation, you should be able to discuss the essential features of liner services, explain the break bulk, unit loads and intermodalism, describe the containerization, discuss the liner shipping, explain the transshipment, and describe the intermodal transport and marketing of liner shipping. Liners are ships plying a fixed route or routes, sailing according to a predetermined schedule which offer cargo and/or passenger space at fixed rates to the users of such service. The sailing schedules in liner shipping are published in advance, giving the name of the ship, arrival and departure dates, port coverage, frequency, etc., and the freight rates are made known to shippers for facilitating business deals in terms of delivery schedules and quotation of price on CIF basis. When the communication facilities evolve, the thinking and the requirement got reduced in writing, and this formed the basic agreements between parties for the supply and exchange of goods or equivalent value currency. Essential features are regularity of sailings to scheduled ports of call, stability of freight rates for a relatively long period of time which enables shippers to quote CIF prices, uniform rates for all shippers, coverage of a wide range of ports, and rebates on freight rates based on loyalty agreements. In shipping, break bulk cargo or general cargo is a term that covers a great variety neither of goods that must be loaded individually and not in intermodal containers, nor in bulk as with oil or grain. Ships that carry this sort of cargo are often called general cargo ships. A break in bulk point is a place where goods are transferred from one mode of transport to another. For example, the docks where goods transfer from ship to truck. Break bulk was the most common form of cargo for most of the history of shipping. Moving cargo on and off ship in containers is much more efficient, allowing ships to spend less time in port. Break bulk cargo also suffered from greater theft and damage. Loading and discharging by break bulk is labor intensive. The cargo is brought to the quay next to the ship, and then each individual item is lifted on board separately. Bagged cargo should be stored on double dunnage and kept clear of the ship's sides and bulkheads. Baled goods should be stored on single dunnage at least 50 millimeters thick. Barrels and casks. Wooden barrels should be stored on their sides on beds of dunnage which keeps the middle of the side, the bilge, off the deck, and they should be stored with the bung at the top. Corrugated boxes should be stored on a good layer of dunnage and kept clear of any moisture. Wooden boxes or crates should be stored on double dunnage in the holds and single dunnage in the 'tween decks. Heavy boxes should be given bottom stowage. Metal drums should be stowed on end with dunnage between tiers. Reels or rolls are generally stored on their sides, but care must be taken to make sure that they are not crushed. Steel girders. Any long heavy item should be stored fore and aft. Cars are lifted on board and then secured using lashings. The idea of a unit load for logistics was developed from the realization of the high costs involved in the storage and movement of products, particularly in the inefficient manual handling of many small packages. A unit load combines individual items or item in shipping containers into a single unit that can be moved easily with pallet jack or forklift truck. A unit load packs tightly into warehouse racks, intermodal containers, trucks and boxcars, yet can be easily broken apart at a distribution point, usually a distribution center, wholesaler, retail store, etc. Most consumer and industrial products move through the supply chain in unitized or unit load form for at least part of the distribution cycle. Unit loads make handling, storage, and distribution more efficient. There are three modes of unitization, also known as unit load design: component-based, system-based, and standards-compliant. Component-based design is the outmoded ad hoc method of unit load design. Components are sometimes overspecified to get assured performance, or tested to get inexpensive economic performance. System-based design is a proven process of unit load component cost optimization based on an understanding of how the pallet, packaging, and material handling equipment interact during product distribution and storage to design the unit load component parts. Standards permit a unit load to be designed and tested to meet a written specification or test method. Competition between the modes has tended to produce a transport system that is segmented and unintegrated. Each mode has sought to exploit its own advantages in terms of cost, service, reliability, and safety. Carriers try to retain business by maximizing the line haul under their control. Intermodalism originated in maritime transportation with the development of the container in the late 1960s and has since spread to integrate other modes. Intermodal transportation is the movement of passenger or freight from one mode of transport to another, commonly taking place at a terminal specifically designed for such a purpose. Transmodal transportation is the movement of passenger or freight within the same mode of transport. Intermodal transportation network is a logistically linked system using two or more transport modes with a single rate. Modes are having common handling characteristics, permitting freight or people to be transferred between modes during a movement between an origin and a destination. Multimodal transportation network is a set of transport modes offering connections between a set of origins and destinations. The driver of intermodal transportation has undoubtedly been the container, which permits easy handling between modal systems. Container is a large, standard-size metal box into which cargo is packed for shipment aboard specifically configured transport modes. The usage of containers shows the complementarity between freight transportation modes by offering a higher fluidity to movement and a standardization of loads. The development of intermodal transportation and containerization are mutually inclusive, self-strengthening, and rely on a set of driving forces linked with technology, infrastructure, and management. Double stacking of containers on railways (COFC) containers on flat cars has doubled the capacity of trains to haul freight with minimal cost increases, thereby improving the competitive position of the railways with regard to trucking for long-haul shipments. Containerization leans on growth factors mainly related to globalization, substitution from break bulk, and more recently the settling of intermediate transshipment hubs. The diffusion and adaptation of transport modes to containerization is an ongoing process which will eventually reach a level of saturation. Liner ships are carriers of break bulk cargo for general cargo comprising of manufacturing and semi-manufactured, processed and semi-processed goods and materials moving as packed cargo in different types of packing. Traders of general merchandise require shipping services of a more sophisticated nature because of a large variety of products being offered by them for transportation. The operators of liner shipping services are committed to regular schedule of services at stable freight rate on prefixed route irrespective of the availability of cargo at a given point of time. It has, therefore, been found practical by liner ships operators to shoulder these responsibilities on collective basis by forming route-specific association of shipping companies known as shipping conferences. The shipping conferences have a constitution, rules and regulation for members and a common tariff, or a loose conference with freight agreement only. Containerization, which is equivalent to unitization, made shipping very efficient, with vessels spending less time in ports and more time sailing. This increased the productivity of vessels enormously. Dockside handling efficiency also increased due to the standardization of unit sizes, facilitating faster handling and thus allowing more ships to be serviced more frequently. The stackability of containers allow for efficiency in storage and organization during staging. The intermodality of containerization has greatly affected the transport market as a whole. Containers allowed shipping companies to transport goods in an economic way as labor cost for loading and unloading decreased substantially. Liners service a fleet of container ships sailing between specified ports on a regular schedule. The nodes are physical locations where container movement is interrupted and/or containers are handled. These are the abbreviations for full container load and less container load. FCL cargo is large enough to completely fill a container's volume, while LCL cargo is usually smaller lot cargo not sufficient enough to load a full container. CY and CFS are the abbreviations for container yard and container freight station, respectively. CY is the place where container carriers store containers and chassis, accept or deliver loaded containers, and lend out empty containers or receive returned empty containers. CFS is the designated facility at which a shipping company accepts and stores small lot cargoes, assorts and consolidates cargo into containers by destination, and also devans small lot consolidated cargo out of the containers for sorting and delivery to consignees. A distribution method whereby containers or cargo are transferred from one vessel to another to reach their final destination, compared to a direct service from the load port of origin to the discharge port of destination. This method is often used to gain better vessel utilization and thereby economies of scale by consolidating cargo onto larger vessels while transiting in the direction of main trade routes. Transport service whereby loaded or empty containers in a regional area are transferred to a mothership for a long-haul ocean voyage. Movement of cargo containers interchangeably between transport modes, for example from ship to rail. Naturally, this is possible where the equipment is compatible within the multiple systems. Pendulum service schedule vessels back and forth between three continents, with one of these continents as a fulcrum, with the points at either end of the pendulum swing linked only through the fulcrum. A cargo consolidator in ocean trades who buys space from a carrier and resells it to small shippers. The NVOCC issues bills of lading, publishes tariffs, and otherwise conducts itself as an ocean common carrier, except that it does not provide the actual ocean or intermodal service. NVOCC was first defined in the U.S. Shipping Act of 1984, according to which NVOCC means a common carrier that does not operate the vessels by which the ocean transportation is provided and is a shipper in its relationship with an ocean common carrier. Under the Act, the NVOCC is a common carrier, is subject to supervision by the U.S. Federal Maritime Commission (FMC). In a globalizing marketplace with dwindling transport costs, increased global sourcing activities, and widely diffused production sites, the volume of international trade has grown dramatically. Shippers increasingly expect their carriers and logistics service providers to supply more rapid and reliable delivery services so as to minimize their costs associated with warehousing, inventory holding, and other aspects of production and distribution. In liner shipping, ocean container carriers form alliances with other carriers and business partners to widen their service coverage and provide more cost-effective services. The liner shipping industry is currently characterized by acquisitions and mergers. Intermodal transport is concerned with the movement of goods in one and the same loading unit that uses successively two or more modes of transport without handling the goods themselves in changing modes. Intermodalism combines the accessibility of inland transport modes with the economic line haul capabilities of ocean shipping. Intermodal transport, defined as combined transport by two or more transport modes, has a significant impact on the spatial economic structure of the transport industry. Although there are considerable differences between transport terminals of different transport modes in terms of size and site requirements, intermodal operators do share many common characteristics, such as they enable the transfer of freight from one transport mode to another, are land extensive, require a high degree of accessibility, and are becoming operationally more alike. The marketing of shipping companies activating in merchant shipping is the science of business-to-business marketing, which deals with the satisfaction of the charterers, shippers' need for carriage of goods by sea and the main aim being the profit of the enterprise. This satisfaction presupposes, on the one hand, correct diagnosis of the shipping market and on the other hand, appropriate organization, planning, and control of the shipping enterprise means. The more the shipping enterprise tries to discover what its clients need to adapt the chartering policy to their requirements, to offer appropriate transport services, and to negotiate the freight as a function to what it offers, the more the possibilities are to achieve the most appropriate, efficient, and long-lasting commercial operation of its vessels. All shipping enterprises have limited capabilities concerning the means, resources, and management abilities for their ships. The tools of the marketing mix for a shipping enterprise activated in the tramp and liner shipping market. A liner service implies today a fleet of ships under common ownership or management, which provides a fixed service at regular intervals between named ports. The liner vessel sails, whether full or not, date fixed by the public schedule. All shipping enterprises have limited capabilities concerning the means, resources, and management abilities for their ships. The marketing strategies are the means by which the company achieves its marketing objectives and are related to the tools of the marketing mix. A common user facility with public authority status, equipped with fixed installations and offering services for handling and temporary storage of import or export laden and empty containers carried under customs control, and with customs and other agencies competent to clear goods for home use, warehousing, temporary admissions, re-export, temporary storage for onward transit, and outright export. Transshipment of cargo can also take place from such stations. The primary functions of ICD or CFS may be receipt and dispatch or delivery of cargo, customs clearance, transit operations by rail or road to and from serving ports, and stuffing and stripping of containers. Now let us check if you have understood the various concepts discussed in this lesson clearly. The ships plying a fixed route or routes sailing according to a predetermined schedule are called bulk carriers. Right or wrong? Wrong. A break bulk cargo is when evolved with the development of the containerization. Right or wrong? Right. Intermodalism originated in maritime transportation and goods are transferred from one mode to transport to another. Right or wrong? Right. Before we end, let us briefly revise what we have studied till so far. In shipping, break bulk cargo or general cargo is a term that covers a great variety neither of goods that must be loaded individually and not in intermodal containers, nor in bulk as with oil or grain. Ships that carry this sort of cargo are often called general cargo ships. The idea of a unit load for logistics was developed from the realization of the high costs involved in the storage and movement of products, particularly in the inefficient manual handling of many small packages. A unit load combines individual item or items in shipping containers into a single unit that can be moved easily with pallet jack or forklift truck. Competition between the modes has tended to produce a transport system that is segmented and unintegrated. Each mode has sought to exploit its own advantages in terms of cost, service, reliability, and safety. Intermodalism originated in maritime transportation with the development of the container in the late 1960s and has since spread to integrate other modes. The driver of intermodal transportation has undoubtedly been the container, which permits easy handling between modal systems. The development of intermodal transportation and containerization are mutually inclusive, self-strengthening, and rely of a set of driving forces linked with technology, infrastructure, and management. Liner ships are carriers of break bulk cargo for general cargo comprising of manufacturing and semi-manufactured, processed and semi-processed goods and materials moving as packed cargo in different types of packing. Containerization, which is equivalent to unitization, made shipping very efficient, with vessels spending less time in ports and more time sailing. This increased the productivity of vessels enormously. A distribution method whereby containers or cargo are transferred from one vessel to another to reach their final destination, compared to a direct service from the load port of origin to the discharge port of destination. NVOCC was first defined in the U.S. Shipping Act of 1984, according to which NVOCC means a common carrier that does not operate the vessels by which the ocean transportation is provided, and is a shipper in relationship with an ocean common carrier. Under the Act, the NVOCC as a common carrier is subject to supervision by the U.S. Federal Maritime Commission (FMC). Intermodal transport, defined as combined transport by two or more transport modes, has a significant impact on spatial economic structure of the transport industry.